Welcome back, fellow armchair generals. This is Gamer 1745 here with my continuing playthrough of Hearts of Iron 3 with Black Ice 8.5. Okay, we're going to continue this as we're hoping to cut off a good chunk of the Italians here. Given the illusion that they're able to hold their line. Spring mud clears, snow eases off. We're battling out in Orkney, and we're losing a few transports here and there. Okay, we've lost another Chinese ally there. As we slowly move through dense Burmese jungle. Let's find just some sort of bad, well, whatever you want to call them, general here. Okay, stick them on top of the resources. There we go, we can intercept down to there. Oh good, that means we're overrunning some people. Okay, oh, USS Ranger is lost. Hitler issues Fuhrer Directive number 40. Intelligence reports indicate that Germans have begun creating a series of defensive fortifications which are designed to impede or prevent a possible Allied invasion of Europe. The so-called Atlantic Wall is reported to be planned to stretch from Norway to south of France. The south of France, okay. Fine. RAF Bomber Command begins a new strategic campaign. The decision to begin a new spell of destructive operations against Germany was conveyed to Bomber Command on the 14th of February 1942. This directive was 6 days old when Air Marshal A.T. Harris, also known as Bomber Harris, succeeded Richard Pears at I Whitcomb. Nevertheless, by the time of his appointment to command Bomber Force, Harris had in fact come to a very firm conclusion. With the means available, attempts to win the war by bombing that he termed panacea targets were doomed to failure. Oil plants, aircraft works, ball bearing factories, molybdenum mines, submarine yards, and the like. Even if our bombers could find and hit them, their destruction would probably have nothing like the effect of the effect prophesied by our economic experts, and as for the most part such targets could not be found and hit by night, as our bombers could certainly not survive over Germany by day. it followed that our offensive must be directed against something much larger. Deploy them, no need. Okay, what do we get? United keep building heavy equipment until 43. Okay, we'll do that. Yes, Harris was very much of a proponent of the de-housing campaign, basically destroying population centers. That's what he wanted to do. What they sowed, they reaped the whirlwind, or whatever. I forget one of his quotes about that. But, okay, the 20th Indian Division forms in Bangalore. The division was formed in Bangalore in April 42 and was commanded by Major General Douglas Gracie, and at first it consisted of the, I'm not going to read all of that. Okay, good. Veteran unit, excellent. So now we have a, is that this one? No. What's that American force doing up here? Oh, interesting. There we are. Okay, here's our new heavy bombers. Attach them to Bomber Command Air Wing. We'll even put Arthur Bomber Harrison in charge of that one. The guy you replaced in charge of that one. Well, we'll see if when we're going to use those, but how. Now we're taking out another sub. Well, this is sort of kind of working up here as a trap. Oh, Japan lost the Musashi. And we lost a bunch to a scripted invasion. Okay. Province. Construct a ball bearing plant. We are now in possession of a ball bearing as a strategic resource. Given that there are many uses in military applications, we should consider investing in a new ball bearing plant. In order to mass produce them, in doing so we will gain access to the ability. Okay. Money? Yep, we can afford the money. Just barely though. Supplies most definitely. Okay, we'll do that. You barely afford that. Okay. The Women's Timber Corps. I don't think I've ever heard of this before. Formed in 1942, the origins of the WTC go back to the First World War, when the Women's Timber Service had been formed to help with the war effort in 1940 to solve the labor shortage and the increased demand for timber. The Forestry Commission started recruiting women both as forestry workers but also to work in sawmills. In 1942, the responsibility passed from the Forestry Commission to the Home Timber Production Department of the Ministry of Supply, and the women became part of the new corps. Lumberjills. Rare materials. Why? Okay. Yeah, we'll go for that. Now, sort of kind of prepared somewhat for this. I'll attempt you with some sort of command here. Well, let's attack. We're going to support the attack. Let's send this mobile force down here. Garrison. Oh, we've lost our jungle colonizer effects. Whatnot from that. Okay, Japanese fleet have attacked Pearl Harbor. Aircraft and midget submarines of the Imperial Japanese Navy have begun an attack on the U.S. Contrary to popular belief, these attacks were not a surprise. Americans had deciphered Japan's code earlier and knew about the planned attack about it before it actually occurred. However, due to difficulty in deciphering the intercepted messages, the Americans failed to discover Japan's targeted location before the attack occurred. Under the command of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the attack was a devastating loss of life and damage to the U.S. fleet. At 6:05 a.m. on December 7th, 6 Japanese carriers launched a first wave of 183 planes, composed mainly of dive bombers, horizontal bombers, and fighters. The Japanese hit the American ships and military installations at 7:51. The first wave attacked military airfields of Ford Island at 8:30 a.m. The second wave of 170 Japanese planes, mostly torpedo bombers, attacked the fleet anchored in Pearl Harbor. The USA is welcome to our alliance. Very good. Now, that is very correct. The U.S. did sort of know about the attack, that it was coming. The U.S., it wasn't, when you decode the thing in Washington, D.C. back in 1941, there wasn't necessarily instantaneous communications out to the Pacific at that time that were secure and everything. You don't just put it out on the, because I don't even know if there was telephone connections at the beginning of this to Hawaii, but you don't, just put it on the telegraph system. I do believe there's that, because people are listening into it, to all of that communication, and obviously the Japanese had intended to inform the U.S. government here in Washington, D.C. that they were at war prior to it, but they themselves actually took longer to decode the message than it took for the U.S. to decode the message. Of course, the Japanese embassy wasn't being told where the attack was, like they said, taking place, just that war was going to happen. And the U.S. was a little bit more on the ball with figuring that out. They, of course, didn't publicly acknowledge that until well after the war. It was a secret that they could read the Japanese code. But, so the Japanese were delayed in presenting the declaration of war to the government. But also, even if they did know it was coming at Hawaii, to get the message all the way out here is a bit of a chore. You don't necessarily just want to do that too openly, and it's because somebody will know about it. Okay, well, we've got to re-secure some of our... We also need to sell some supplies, so let's... see if we can sell to the U.S. And we've taken out another submarine. That's very good. Okay. No, we don't want to give Indian independence. This is Churchill's war. He wanted to keep the British Empire. Come on, close the gap. Okay, well, we have a big uprising here. This is a very big uprising. Operation Badajari, 1942. SOE top secret flash. We have information about Nazi infiltration forces in Afghanistan. They will engage in sabotage action and create revolt in northern India. Oh, now you tell us. Okay. And the Tiger Head Division forms, which will be useful. Lord Ha-Ha. William Joyce, aka Lord Ha-Ha, was an Irish-American fascist, politician, and Nazi propaganda broadcaster to the United Kingdom during the Second World War. His announcement, Germany calling, was familiar sound across the airwaves, introducing threats and misinformation that he broadcast from his Hamburg base. In late August 1939, shortly before the war was declared, Joyce and his wife Margaret fled to Germany. Joyce had been tipped off that the British authorities intended to detain him under the Defense Regulation 18B. Joyce became a naturalized German citizen in 1940. In Berlin, Joyce could not find employment until a chance meeting with fellow Mosleyite Dorothy Eckersley got him an audition at the Rad-Funk House, broadcasting house. Eckersley was the former wife or second wife of chief engineer of the British Broadcasting Corporation, Peter Eckersley. Despite having a cold and almost losing his voice, he was recruited immediately for radio announcements and script writing at German radio's English service. William Joyce replayed Wolf Mittler. Although listening to his broadcast was officially discouraged but not illegal, many Britons did tune in. At the height of his influence in 1940, Joyce had an estimated 6 million regular and 18 million occasional listeners to the United Kingdom. Yeah, Joyce was an out-and-out Nazi. He was not, well, let's give this guy a... He was not one of the British Union of fascist types. He was an out-and-out National Socialist. Well, we're already battling. No, they're in Afghanistan. That's why I can't attack. Well, we'll put this revolt down pretty quickly, I think. Okay, great. Now we got them cut off. Let's attack. They'll hold out. Oh, we still have... Oh, that's the Chinese. We lost our division there. Okay. Okay, well, we've won up there. That's good. Small warships sonar has advanced. That's excellent. Let's improve the aircraft control systems. Go. We'll do that. We've got to take that back for our next move. Okay, well, I think we're going to take this opportunity to end the episode here. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking the videos. Do appreciate that. And, of course, please post comments, questions, suggestions. Love hearing from you. See you next time for more Hearts of Iron.